Are you ready?
Hello and welcome to the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup here for the 5th round this year at Oulton Park. We've got really exciting racing ahead of us here today with Mark Abbott leading the championship by a 22-point lead in front of the next contender, Bradley Smith. Lots of fun and exciting racing to be had here today. So Roger, we've got a lovely shiny new car behind you here, the SR1. Can you tell us about this new exciting development for Radical?
Yes, this is a new championship that we're launching next year with this car specifically for novices. So it's people who have never raced before or are still eligible to have a novice cross on the back of the car. So that means they've done less than 6 races. And what we've done with this car is we've introduced something that is very cost effective, and it gives people all the training and a series of races all in one package, very cost effectively for £37,500.
And that's for the entire year and every single race?
Yes, that includes the car, includes a race suit as well. If you haven't got a licence before, it includes the test and getting your licence. Well then, if you've got a licence already, it will pay for the renewal of that. And then from there we'll have a couple of seminars, so we'll explain to people what happens during a race weekend, that kind of thing, how to go racing, and also how to look after the car and prepare the car for racing. And then we get into the track driving element of the championship, which begins with a couple of track days, exclusive track days with instructors. And we'll also give people the opportunity to practice starts, which you never do until you normally get on the grid. So that's a good one. And then we go to Bedford Autodrome, where they run a How Fast event, which is like a normal track day for an hour. And then each car goes out one at a time with a transponder on the car, and you'd have 2 flying laps to set your best time. So that gives people an introduction really into qualifying. And then we go to the races as well after that. So there's 4 race meetings, all double headers, and they'll be at Snetterton, Oulton Park, Cadwell and Brands Hatch, and they'll run through the summer next year, and they'll be qualifying and obviously 2 races all in one day. We're aiming it really, we've had a lot of people coming to us in the past who wanted to get into racing, never been in a position before to be able to do it, and now that they are in a position to do it, there's a few kind of reasons or things that stop them from going racing. One being cost, another being the fact that they're going to be out there with lots of experienced drivers, and also the sort of complication of how do I start? I don't really know anything about racing, so this sort of wraps it all up in one package.
And I guess that the idea is that they can then progress through the ranks of the different championships with Radical.
Absolutely. Well, the prize, if you win the championship next year, is that you get a funded race in the Clubman's Championship in an SR3. So the first round of the 2014 championship, the winner of this will be out there racing. So yeah, and we've now got this stepping stone. So you can go from this into the Clubman's, and then onto the UK Cup, and then onto the Euro Masters. So.
And can you tell us a little bit about the car itself as well?
Yeah, so what we've done with the car is we've made it user-friendly as possible, and also ensure that it's got very low running costs. So it's powered by a 1340cc Hayabusa engine, which we've detuned to 185 brake horsepower, which in a 480 kilo car is still plenty to go quick. And we fitted it with road tyres, Dunlop road tyres. That gives us another cost saving really for the competitors, because it means they don't have to have slicks and wets. And we're going to limit it to 2 sets for the entire year. Because they're quite hard wearing tyres, it means that you could actually run 1 set for the entire year and still be competitive. So it means that you're not going to have to keep shelling out every weekend. So yeah, it's a fun car as well. We've been doing quite a lot of testing with it. And it's a proper little sports car. That's the other thing as well. It really is a baby Radical SR3, which is the intention of it. So it's got some downforce, but not the same levels as with the SR3. So it introduces the drivers to it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Brilliant. And have any of the pro drivers tried this car, the SR1, just yet?
Yeah, we had a test day here at Oulton Park yesterday, and we've put as many people in it as we can, who have done a lot of radical racing in the past, to get their feedback and, to get their comments, and every one of them come with a smile on their face, so it's absolutely great for us.
We're here at the front of the grid for the first race of the Radical Clubman's Cup here this weekend at Oulton Park. We've got Bradley Smith in pole position in the SR3, followed closely by Martin Brooks and Mark Abbott in the PR6s. All drivers out for a win, so let's see how they get on.
Thanks, Lucia. Bradley Smith on pole, Martin Brooks alongside him. Brooks in a new Supersport SR3 this weekend, and he gets a good jump, but it's a super start from the second row from Mark Abbott in the PR6. So it's the Pro Sport class car that leads into Oulton for the first time with Martin Brooks in hot pursuit. Everybody further back cleanly through. Lots of jockeying for position though in these early stages, but it is Abbott who's just got the advantage over Brooks. Then Bradley Smith in third position, Matt Bell in fourth. So all of the championship front runners right there ahead of the field. Abbott turns through Shell Oil's corner for the first time, the Camber's hairpin, for the very short sprint to the first of the two chicanes really on this back stretch of the circuit. This is Britain's. They go to the left, they go to the right, then to the left again and up over Hilltop. And at the moment though, it's Abbott who's got that slight advantage over Brooks. And then we've got Smith and Bell before it's Paul Marsham who's next along. He's got Steve Burgess right on his tail over Hilltop into the braking zone for his, and still Abbott leading the way. Brooks, brand new car for this weekend. He only drove it for the first time in Friday testing. The Radical staff have been up most of the night getting that car suited to Martin's liking, and clearly it's worked because he is well up the order. What is a very, very large and competitive field here, enjoying the blast round the undulations of this Cheshire circuit out of Druids and accelerating on towards Lodge Corner. Towards the end of the first lap, are we going to see a challenge for the lead here from Brooks? He's certainly looking to the inside of Mark Abbott, but he's not quite close enough under braking. So down through Lodge Corner, then up over the crest at Deer Leap, and that will bring them through to complete the first lap. And already this leading quartet just beginning to make a little bit of a break for the rest of the field. Through Oulton, such a tricky corner this. A slight adverse camber, and Bradley Smith and Matt Bell are in very hot pursuit. Then we've got Marsham and Burgess. Now Martin Brooks continuing to stalk Mark Abbott. Where can he find the opening? Certainly not Island Bend. That would be a very, very brave move if he were to challenge there. And then through Shell Oil's corner, the nimble PR6 able to withstand the challenge from the Supersport SR3. And he's one of the beauties of the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup, as you do see the PR6s and the SR3s racing each other like this, wheel to wheel. Such a competitive championship as this leading group are all coming together a little bit, aren't they? Because certainly the gap from Brooks to Smith and Bell has definitely come down a little bit, and that just increases the challenge here for Mark Abbott, because not only has he got Martin Brooks to worry about, he's got the rest of the field beginning to close up onto his tail. Then we have got super performance there from James Breckle, who's running in 7th at the moment, the second of the PR6s. James Breckle, car 28, really good to see him going well as he mixes it with Steve Burgess and Paul Marsham. So leading quartet accelerate out of Druids once more and on towards Lodge Corner, which really is, despite the ripples along that short straight, a very good overtake opportunity. As we're seeing there, Brooks looking to the inside of Abbott. Will he have been able to get through? We'll find out momentarily. There's James Breckle, who I was just mentioning. He is showing very strongly. Also move coming here, Andy Cummings to the inside, Timothy Lyons, and Cummings in the black and yellow car. Through he goes past the green machine of Lyons. That's a really nice move from Andy Cummings, and Andy has been just getting faster and faster as the season has progressed. So they accelerate on to complete another lap. And did we see that change to lead? Well, we've had a complete sort out, in fact, haven't we? It's still Abbott who leads it, but now Brooks has dropped back behind Bradley Smith. So Martin Brooks, maybe just pushing too hard to get the lead, has now lost a place to boot. So it is now Smith in second position. He takes his turn to try and depose Mark Abbott from the lead of the race. Jinking through Britain's, not really an overtaking opportunity, the chicane at Britain's. Instead, what they want to do is get a good as exit as possible, because they come over this crest at Hilltop and then down into the braking zone for Hizzies, and you really can challenge at Hizzies if you want to, but nobody quite close enough on this occasion. This is turning into a very fine drive indeed from Mark Abbott ahead of the field. But this leading quartet, they've got to be careful not to fight too hard amongst themselves, because the gap to Paul Marsham and James Breckle is coming down a little bit, isn't it? So Marsham and Breckle in 5th and 6th beginning to close in onto this leading group. Absolutely brilliant racing. It's one of the best of the season, as the Oulton Park circuit really plays to the strengths of these Radical cars and shows just what spectacular machines they are. And also the high standard driving in this championship, because lap after lap now Bradley Smith has been following around behind Mark Abbott and has been yet to find a way past Mark, and Mark is having to drive too defensively at the moment. Martin Brooks, his first race in the SR3, and he's right at the sharp end of the field. There's Graham Ridgway, he's just got Simon Garmston in his tail. Then we've got Timothy Lyons and Tom Jordan. Just in behind Tom, that's Doug Carter, and then Graham's daughter, Jennifer Ridgway, bringing up that very nice gaggle of cars. This is one of the beauties of this championship. You do see battling throughout the field. Simon Garmston in his Fernando Alonso helmet accelerates out of Oulton as the leading group. If it's possible, they're even closer still, aren't they, this time around? And Abbott is managing to keep Bradley Smith behind him. For how long, I wonder? Martin Brooks, likewise, is now under real threat for that third position from Matt Bell. Bell is closing up on his tail as they crest Clay Hill and come into one of the most spectacular sections of race circuit anywhere in the UK, for my money. And this is an excellent run out of Druids now for Bradley Smith. Is he going to challenge Abbott? This is as close as Smith has been, really, any stage of the race. And he goes to the inside, and Bradley Smith moves into the lead of the race at Lodge Corner. That's a beautifully judged move from Bradley. Now, what can Mark do about fighting back? Unfortunately, he has to just settle in to the run behind the rear spoiler of Bradley Smith. He then looks to the outside at Oulton, but Smith's got up and through into third goes Matt Bell. Another brilliant move from Bell. He just pounced and poached the place on the inside line through Oulton as Graham Ridgway continues his battle with Mark Boot. They're running just towards the bottom end of the top 10. And wherever you look in this field, there are some very, very tight dices going on the pair of them, with Simon Garmston still in their wheel tracks. Then we've got this Timothy Lyons, Tom Jordan, Doug Carter and Jennifer Ridgway battle. And Jennifer showing strongly as she gets quicker with each round in her SR3. So now that Bradley Smith's in the lead of the race, she's just beginning to move away by a couple of tenths a second from Mark Abbott. Abbott's now got Matt Bell up onto his tail, following that astonishing move from Bell into Oulton. So what can Matt Bell do now? Maybe taking second position, because coming into this weekend, Bell and Smith were equal on points in the championship, but they were both behind Mark Abbott, who is leading the way. So the championship very, very finely poised, and really Matt Bell wants to get past Abbott as quickly as possible. Firstly, to take points off him, and secondly, so that Bradley Smith doesn't open up a little bit of daylight between himself and Matt Bell. But through goes Bell at Lodge, and that was a slight mistake made from Abbott. He just ran wide, and also going through is Martin Brooks as well. So Mark Abbott, in the blink of an eye, drops from second to fourth, and he just slithered wide. He's of course still leading the Pro Sport class very comfortably from the hard charging James Breckle. There's a slight spin there from Graham Ridgway, where they've been pushing very hard to get past Mark Boot. He spins round, no harm done. He should rejoin, just to the cost of a couple of places. Well, the leading group of cars, now that they're past Mark Abbott, pulling away from him. Mark come under a little bit of pressure here from Paul Marsham. Haven't seen too much of Paul, so we've had such a close battle for the lead of the race, but Paul going very, very strongly in 5th position. He and James Breckle had a nice tussle, and James, there he is in the red and white car, could yet take the Pro Sport class victory away from Mark Abbott. This race has got twist after twist, and now Abbott, having led the race all the way through, is at real threat of losing that class lead as we move towards the closing stages. Jennifer Ridgway still chasing Doug Carter. She has been for much of the race. Well, let's hope that she fares a little bit better than her father in terms of trying to get past one of the Pro Sport cars, although Graham back into the race and closing in on that battle all the while. So here's Tom Jordan. Tom, a novice driver coming into this season, and he really has adapted very well to racing in the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup, also the Dartmouth Radical UK Cup. Right, Richard Stables under pressure from Andy Cummings, into his they come. Oh, well, I think Richard's got that a little bit wrong. He just slithers wide, slightest of taps into the Armco barrier. Well, these are sturdy things, Radicals, and so aside from dislodging that bodywork, I don't think he'll have done too much damage to that. Just a very slight slither off the circuit for him, as James Breckle now puts the pressure onto Paul Marsham. You can see why, because Breckel has got this prize, the Pro Sport Class victory, only about 20 metres up ahead on the road. So James Breckel trying to move ahead of Paul Marsham. At the moment, though, to no avail, but James has been absolutely astonishing to watch over the course of this race. He has had bravery in abundance. Jennifer Ridgway is still trying to move ahead of Doug Carter. Through Island Bend they come into the braking zone for Shell Eyes. Oh no, she's just lost it. And the car slithers into the gravel trap. Hopefully she can recover from there. But we are into the very late stage of this race, and still Breckel attempting to hoist himself up ahead of Marsham. He's trying around the outside over Clay Hill. That is unbelievably brave stuff from James Breckel. As into Lodge Corner comes Bradley Smith, and Matt Bell is closing onto his tail, and they're about to start the final lap of the race here. And can Matt Bell take the lead away from Bradley Smith on the last lap? Breckel did make that move on Paul Marsham. That was brave driving from James Breckel. Now what can he do about snatching the Pro Sport victory? So we've got the battle for the lead in both classes. As into the traffic comes Smith and Bell has really closed up on Bradley Smith over the course of this last lap, and we could see this switch. So where could Matt Bell go through as the exit is? Well, we've seen the move over Clay Hill from James Breckel, and Bell not quite close enough there. Instead, what he needs to do is get an excellent run out of Druids, and then could possibly challenge Bradley Smith into Lodge, and that is what Matt Bell is trying to do. Poise of the car is just full on attack through Druids, accelerating then along towards Lodge Corner for the first time into the braking zone. Bradley, keep it nice and tight, don't make a mistake. He does just that, so he just crests over Deer Leap. The checker flag is ready and waiting, and it's an excellent victory in the first race here at Oulton Park for Bradley Smith. Second place goes to Matt Bell, with then Mark Abbott completing the podium. Very well-deserved round of applause and champagne for the drivers on the podium.
Freddie, congratulations. You obviously qualified on pole and you managed to keep your position throughout the race. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I made a bit of a mess at the start. Just got a bit too much wheel spin, but managed to try and sort of get my head down and make some moves. I knew I had to make them early on because I knew Matt was going to come through, so just tried to get moving as soon as I can and try and hit the front, and it seemed to work.
Had a good start, got up a couple of places, now I got behind Martin Brooks, and here you've got to have a lunge. So I was really late on the brakes into the first corner. Fortunately, when you're driving against someone like Mark, he does see you, or Martin even, he does see you. So we didn't make contact, and then Abbott slid wide in the last corner, which was quite nice because that was a nice easy one. And then it was a chase down for Bradley, which seemed to take forever. And I was quite looking forward to the back markers coming out and holding them up. But even when you're two abreast, there's no room for a third car. I nearly collected him going into the hairpin. I think I was nearly touched actually, but there we go. We stayed apart from each other, and I got a good second, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shocking race for me. A lovely start, and got off the line okay, and I just settled down. But my car just seems to lose grip after 5 laps. At Brands Hatch, it was the front. Here, it was the back. So yeah, it just started going backwards, and I need to stop that from happening.
So James, this is your first outing with Radical this year. What's kept you away?
I've been doing other things and budget, of course. I race in the 750 Motor Club Bike Sports Championship with the same car, so I've been doing a bit of that. So.
And how does this compare racing with Radical to the other sort of racing that you've been doing?
To be honest, the driving standards and the level of drivers is better here. 750 Motor Club Bike Sports Championship is kind of a little bit lower level, but it's still good racing. Yeah. Slightly fewer events, but they put on a really good show here at Radical. So.
And you said that you've been racing with Radicals for a few years. How has the car kind of changed over the years that you've found?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to own an SR4, an SR3 and a PR6. Not all at once, obviously. But the PR6 I love. Its central driving position it's awesome. I would like to get into one of the new SR3s, but a little bit too much money for me, unfortunately.
And what's the best thing you found about like racing the car and how it handles?
Just the cornering speed is just ballistic. It's ridiculous. I don't know the names of the corners, but there's a really fast left-hander down there, and it's just flat out. It's better than any roller coaster ride you can ever go on.
So Miles, I know you're about to head down to the grid, but you've got a Radical here which is slightly different to everybody else, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. This is a very early Radical SR3, which is actually also a road car as well, so it is taxed and MOT'd. It's all of the early style bodywork and how they sort of started out, really.
And have you actually driven it here on the roads?
No, we have actually trailed it here today, but it has been out in the road in the last week or so.
And will you be driving it home after this race?
No, I think it will be going back on the trailer.
Have a rest. Okay, thank you very much, Miles. Best of luck.
Thanks very much.
Well, it's almost time for the final race of the weekend here at Oulton Park for the Radical Clubman's Cup. Bradley Smith is on pole again, so let's see if he's able to match the success of his earlier race.
Thanks, Lucia. Well, pole position, the best place to start from for Bradley. Huge field of cars getting ready then. The second race of the weekend in the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup. Lights on, lights out, and away we go. And who's got the jump from the line this time around? It is that man, Mark Abbott, once more. So it's Abbott who streaks into the early advantage as they go very wide. Andy Cummings on the grass, he tags Timothy Lyons, and Lyons taps Ben Dimmock. Oh, that's so unfortunate. A couple of cars tangling themselves up at Oulton. Well, hopefully, most of those will be able to recover back into the race. What it does mean is the leading group of cars have now got a slight split over Mark Boots, who's next along, and he has got James Breckle onto his tail, as Matt Bell had a difficult qualifying session this morning. He started a lot lower down the grid than he'd have liked to, and so he has done well to avoid that early incident and is moving up from the inside of the ninth row of the field. So a lot of work for Bell to do. He's on the tail of Tom Jordan. Just thinking about the move into Britain's, that'd be very bold for Bell. He can't quite do that, but he's in Tom's wheel tracks. Is he going to challenge into Hizzy's? Possibly as they come over Hilltop. Meanwhile, the race leader, Mark Abbott, he is trying to pull away from Bradley Smith and Martin Brooks in these early stages. Then we've got Steve Burgess and Paul Marshall, the next two along. Then Mark Boot and James Breckle. And yes, Matt Bell did make the move on Tom Jordan. And Tom immediately coming under a little bit of pressure from Richard Stables. So the race leaders turning through Druids, and this leading quintet just clear a super battle in the Pro Sport class. And James Breckle all over the tail of Mark Boot. But those are waved yellow flags, flashing lights. The safety car is out, and that will enable the marshals to safely recover. Unfortunately, the car of Timothy Lyons, who would appear to have been the only actual casualty from that incident. So the safety car is out to enable the marshals to do their work, but a very quick safety car period. Lights are out, and we're about to go racing once more here at Oulton Park. Safety car will pull in, and it will be Mark Abbott who leads the field away, but Bradley Smith is poised to try and make that move into the lead as quickly as possible. He's right underneath the rear wing of Mark Abbott. He looks to the inside at Oulton, no way through there. Paul Marshall was also trying to do the same thing to Steve Burgess, in fact with much the same result, i.e. no place gained. Now this is really good news for Matt Bell in his attempts to climb up through the field, and there is Bell. He's trying to side through some of the Pro Sport class runners as Mark Abbott leads the way under real pressure from Bradley Smith, and Bradley was trying to catch Mark unawares as that safety car peeled in. That was unsuccessful, so now he is thinking about where he can best make his move. Well, we saw that Lodge Corner was where he picked his moment in race one. What about this second race? Well, out of Britain's they come, over the crest at Hilltop and down into the braking zone at Hizzy's, and Bradley is not quite close enough this time round. But the other consideration here for Bradley Smith is that he has got Martin Brooks looming very large in his mirrors. There's Martin just sliding the rear of that 27 car, and he's also not too far clear of Steve Burgess. So there you caught a flash of Matt Bell. He's up behind Mark Boot as through Druids comes this leading trio of cars, with Martin Brooks looking to claim his first Super Sport podium. Really has adapted very, very well to the SR3 car this weekend. Oulton Park, a very tricky circuit with which to go with a car you know very well, let alone a car that you only tested the day before the race meeting. At the moment, Brooks in third position on the tail of Bradley Smith, and Bradley still unable to get an opening to move ahead of Mark Abbott, as challenging for the position and going through is Matt Bell on Mark Boot, and also coming past Boot was James Breckle. That was really opportunistic stuff there from James. He saw the gap at Oulton, through he went. The leading duo continuing their battle very, very nicely. Mark Abbott has got Bradley Smith behind him, and Breckle is going with Matt Bell here. And James Breckle having a really fantastic day here at Oulton Park. Matt Bell also from lowly grid slot, recovering well up through the field, but now he's getting to those men who are going to be very, very difficult to get past. His next target is Paul Marsham, but Paul is a formidable competitor and will not make it easy here for Matt. So Matt cresting over Hilltop in the wheel tracks of Paul Marsham as our race leader remains Mark Abbott, despite the very best efforts of Bradley Smith, who is now looking increasingly impatient here on the tail of Mark. But Mark, talking after the first race, he was really disappointed not to claim the victory. He felt that he got it in him, so he is looking to repeat that this time around as Bell challenges Marsham into Druids. No way through there, but if Matt Bell can get a good exit from Druids, then Lodge Corner's a possibility. He gets a super exit. He carries the line nice and tightly as we go back to the leaders at Lodge. This is another of the races. You just don't know where to look. There are battles going on throughout the field as Smith chasing Abbott, and Abbott now has to go a little bit defensive into Oulton, but Bradley Smith still can't find an SR3's width to the inside, so he remains in second position as another super battle going on. It's Doug Carter with Andy Cummings just behind him, and Andy, of course, was involved in that early entanglement, so he's doing a very fine job recovering up through the order. He's gained several places already. Now, will he make that move on Doug Carter into Oulton? Yes, he will. Well done, Andy Cummings gains the place. But Doug having a good day here as we have had a bit of a sort out here for the lead, because it's now Bradley Smith who comes into view as the race leader. Second place is Martin Brooks, and then Mark Abbott has unfortunately dropped down into third, and also Matt Bell has worked up into fourth position. So Matt Bell, will he be able to get the podium from this race? That would be quite astonishing if he could do that from the ninth row of the grid, but he's into fourth and he's got every opportunity with which to do so. However, with an eye towards the championship, of course, Bell is giving away points to Bradley Smith this weekend. Here's James Breckle. He's on the tail of Steve Burgess, and again, if Bell and Abbott were to have a battle amongst themselves, that could just bring Breckle into contention maybe for the Pro Sport class victory. Andy Cummings locking up those tyres in the braking zone. Tizzies as he attempts to escape from Doug Carter. The car's sliding through. There's Jennifer Ridgway. She's on the tail of Simon Garmston. This is a really strong performance to part today from Jennifer, going very solidly. There she is, pulling away from David Franklin all the while as well. Franklin probably the most distinctively liveried car in the championship. Now, will Jennifer be able to make the move on Simon Garmston, possibly into Lodge Corner? Well, no, because Simon puts the car pretty squarely in the middle of the road. Oh, Jennifer, though, thinks about that late move to the inside line. Simon Garmston, though, able to cover it just in time, but the pair of them having a nice battle as they dispute 12th position, which at the moment is in the hands of Simon Garmston, but not for want of trying on behalf of Jennifer Ridgway. Through Oulton they come, and then down through the Avenue and Dentons. Meanwhile, the race leader, Bradley Smith, is just a few hundred metres from home. He's been able to pull out a reasonable advantage over Martin Brooks, and it's Matt Bell who's into third position. So Bell has moved ahead of Mark Abbott, and Matt Bell is challenging Martin Brooks here. Could he even get second place out of this race? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. So Bradley Smith is well set to do the double here at Oulton Park, but what about second position? Matt Bell and Brooks, here they come. Out of Druids the final time on towards Lodge Corner, and Bell looking to the inside, but he's not quite near enough. He leans on those brakes, but he can only get to within the car length of Martin Brooks. So 2 wins out of 2 starts in the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup at Oulton Park for Bradley Smith. It's Martin Brooks who takes second place, and Matt Bell completing the podium in the Pro Sport class. Well, that has been claimed by Mark Abbott, with James Breckle, very strong second in class, and Richard Stables completing the class podium, as we have more very happy drivers on the Oulton Park rostrum.
Here we are again, back on the podium. Congratulations, you feeling good?
Yeah, no, really good. It's been a great weekend. Really good for the championship, picked up quite a few points. So, yeah, started off the race, got a much better start this time. Managed to get away, which was good. And then had a great battle with Mark for the first half of the race, and managed to sneak by on the brakes and just sort of tried to focus on putting some fast laps in towards the end, and it seemed to work. So, yeah, no, really good weekend.
Yeah, it made better start this morning, but the got some good overtaking moves and managed to hold it together. We made some changes between races which really got the car much more to my liking, and it felt a lot better. Still got a long way to go to learn the car though, but it was a good race. Got to say, I think Matt might have had me with another 5 minutes, but I was very pleased to see the checkered flag when it came out.
I had a good start. I was a little bit fortunate in the first corner, but the way my season's gone so far in qualifying, I deserved a little bit of luck. So although I think only 2 cars went off, I just chose the right area of the circuit, got down the inside, and then the first 4 or 5 laps of the race, I think I was easily the fastest on circuit, and just nailed the moves as quickly as I could when I had to, knowing that it was going to get harder as it went on. The safety car sort of helped, although having said that, I wasn't a huge way behind anyway. I could have done with the extra 5 minutes that they cut the race by more than the safety car, but no, it was a good race, and we'll move forward now and hope that we can get a win.
Well, that's it for Clubman's Cup racing here at Oulton Park this weekend. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again next time at Brands Hatch.